If you
That's why the levels are so low.
if you remember, Lee Flick was arguing that the high methane readings were almost assuredly due to not due to the county's solid waste disposal places, but due to the rubble fill, due to wetlands.
You don't expect him to admit the county's doing it, do you?
No, Barbara.
I can tell you, living in this neighborhood for 40 years, I know who the methane generator is, and it's not Ritchie Reclamation.
Who do you think it is?
Yeah,
Landfill.
Most methane is generated in the landfill.
It's not nearly as bad as it has been in the past, and the county's gotten much better at collecting it and covering it and keeping it under control. But there have been times, particularly in winter, the gas in the neighborhood is bad. It hasn't happened recently, but there were times in the past where you could drive down, or I could walk out my front door and smell it. Not recently. They've gotten better.
Okay, good. Okay, at any rate, I think that's something we eventually are going to want to revisit, is this methane thing, because now that the county has passed, the county council has passed the climate action plan, we should get more concerned about the methane issues. Okay, does anybody have anything more on Ritchie? Because we're a third of the way through our meeting already now.
No, I must say I appreciate what Kevin sent out with the pictures and all that, because it definitely kind of helped to relive things, given that I don't have a photographic memory.
You're welcome.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
You really do the good summary.
Thank you.
Your summary of the site visit is on point. That is a very good summary that you gave us.
Yep.
Okay, so maybe we should start on the topics of the agenda.
Okay.
Okay. I had a discussion with Marlene about the agenda items, and she actually said that she will join the meeting, but she's due for surgery tomorrow. So she said she will try, but since she's not here, I will just share what we discussed. So sorry, 1 second. So on the straw ban, our recycling section has been doing some kind of enforcement by visiting businesses, distributing flyers about this legislation. But a lot of things still need to be done, because right now our recycling section only has 6 recycling inspectors. So in terms of the reach of the outreach, we need more personnel to inform our businesses. We're talking about more than 5,000 businesses being informed about this legislation. But recently, according to Marlene, Andrea will have a meeting with the Restaurant Association of Maryland to get their buy-in and ensure that members are aware of the straw ban and other recycling-related legislations. So she will have a meeting with them and discuss areas of collaboration to really enforce the ban on straw and other recycling legislation.
Wait, don't they have to get like a permit every year, or a permit updated? And why wouldn't that information be part of that?
Which permit, Barbara?
I would imagine that any food establishment has to get some buy-in from the county. I mean, you can't just go and set up a food establishment without the county approving it. So why aren't the laws that they need to follow part of the information they're given for whatever?
Barbara, I don't think they need a new permit every year. I think they're subject to health inspections periodically, and maybe it could be done through the health inspection process. but it's not a permitting thing. It's a health inspection.
Okay,
process.
an inspection thing. I mean, don't they have some interaction with the county at least every year?
With health inspectors.
Yes.
Yeah, health inspectors.
Mhm.
One other thing, in addition to straws, did the county not also adopt legislation, and I could be wrong, concerning carry-out food containers? You know, the styrofoam and those kinds of containers, did they
Long
not?
ago,
Yes,
long
that
ago.
was last July.
I would think that would be a bigger question than plastic straws, because
Uh,
food containers are far larger than plastic straws.
Sierra Club has done an awful lot of monitoring of the styrofoam of that, and it's actually not that bad, the buy-in on that.
Mhm.
No, I don't find many of them on the street. I do daily trash pickups. I find very few styrofoam containers anymore or cups.
Yeah, whereas
Straw's a whole different story. They're everywhere.
yeah, the straw ban is way less big. I think that's why we were focusing on that first, because the styrofoam, you know, it's older, because it's both a county and a state ban.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so the establishments, maybe a few of the mom and pop don't know about it, but any larger establishment, because it's a statewide thing, they know about it and I believe are following it.
Well, part of the issue with the straws too is that some straws, although they're marketed as compostable, are in fact not, at least not readily compostable in non-commercial facility and non-commercial environment. That's the issue. You know, they're distributing what they presume to be or compostable straws, but in fact they're not. So that's still an issue, as
And-
opposed to those that are using paper straws or that which are readily identifiable as in compliance.
Because the county legislation, my understanding is, or at least when we worked on it earlier, and I think that's what went through in the end, is it has to be backyard compostable.
Right.
It's not that it's a fancy, like down at the county's composting place, but it's just backyard. So how much, Kevin, how much monitoring, I mean, you said that they send out information, they do monitoring. How often have they distributed the information on the straw ban? Has each establishment been monitored? Has 1/100th of the establishments been monitored? What actually has been done?
So our recycling inspectors do visit businesses on a daily basis. And
How
then,
many of the 5,000 have been visited?
sorry,
You said there are over 5,000 establishments. How many of them have been visited by the inspectors?
we monitor the number of business. I can give that information to SWAC. But I don't have the exact figure now, but recycling inspectors visit businesses on a daily basis. And then we get reports on the number of businesses that they check. And then when they find that the business doesn't follow the legislation, I think they make a sort of a citation, and then they come back to check again whether the business is complying or not. But we notice that big companies like Starbucks and McDonald's do comply with the straw ban, but the small businesses, it's still a challenge for them.
And how often do you send out information to these businesses? Is it by snail mail? Is it by email?
So
Text message? How do you get the information out?
So the county utilizes social media platforms, and also when our recycling inspector make visits, they have flyers with them, and they are given to the business owners. So it's a combination of methodologies to inform the public, the businesses.
But when you say they use social media, that is something that the business person has to link into. That is not that it comes to them, but they have to make an effort to try to look it up, not knowing it's there.
Mhm. So
What do you do actually of informing the businesses? I mean, if you have mom and pop shop, they don't do Facebook. How have you told them about this? How often have you told them about it?
So recycling inspectors are trained to be aware of the law. So once they visit the business, they explain the ban.
But the businesses are not told until they are visited? I mean, it seems like a mass mailing.
Yeah, yes, the county did a mass mailing about
They
it.
did,
Yes, correct. Yes.
once or multiple times.
I think it was only once when the law took effect. So follow-ups are being made by our recycling inspectors along with promotion in our social media sites.
It would seem appropriate that when they're issued a business license, that part of the package that they receive from the county associated with the business license would be inclusive of those environmental regulations that they have to comply with, like the straw ban, the styrofoam ban, having 2 trash receptacles, one for recycling, one for that, would be all part of the package that they would receive on application for a business license to operate a food establishment. Because the health department shouldn't get involved in it at all, because they're dealing with health issues, not with issues regarding business operations as it relates to strict operations and not those associated with health issues. But that's just my 2 cents.
100% agree. But do they do that, Kevin?
Yes, I think that's part of the, because the county is trying to package everything in terms of the enforcement and the education part. We try to include the education part when, say, for example, a business applies for a permit, then all the information materials are included in the package.
Right.
And that's only one time and when the business starts, and they never have to reapply for a permit, so they only get it that one time, or is this every?
I think for the health inspection, they
Excuse
are
me, I
required.
also believe when they do their inspection, they take their flyers with them and give to this establishment for updates.
Right, but the inspections I mean, we don't know, but they may well be just a tiny fraction of the businesses. So there should be some way to inform all the businesses.
I think the health inspection is done every year, I think. I think that's the most regular inspection.
Okay, so the health inspectors go out yearly and they take the flyers about the straw ban?
I'm not. So when they get the permit from the county, say for example, our health department, they're given the recycling section provides them with the flyers, but our recycling inspectors are the ones distributing the flyers in the field. So when they go out and check
But you don't know how much that is done, if it's 50 businesses that have been visited or 500 out of the 5,000 or 2,000. So that makes a big difference.
I'll provide the group with our numbers. Hold on. Marlon is trying to get into the Zoom. Hold on, Barbara.
Barbara, it's 6:30. We need to move on if we're going to get the
That's
agenda
right.
done.
Let's go.
I thought Kevin said, hold on.
Well, yeah, for that, but
Yeah, so maybe we should return to this when we have like Andrea here or Marilyn or somebody who, oh, here is Marilyn.
Marlene is here.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, I think, we're just talking, not knowing anything. We're probably not making progress until we have really some updates on really what's been done.
Hi, Marlene.
Hi.
Marilyn, thank you for coming.
Yeah, sorry about being late.
So do you know with the straw ban, because Kevin was saying that inspectors visit the establishments, but had no clue of how many establishments of over 5,000 have actually been visited by inspectors.
I'm sorry, what was that with respect to the number of businesses?
Encouraging to follow the straw ban.
Okay, yeah, so we do as part of the recycling inspector's job when they go out and they're looking at the establishments with respect to the recycling mandatory laws that are part of the Prince George's County Code. For those establishments that would be carrying some type of, straw, like a restaurant or fast food business or something like that, a deli or coffee shop, they are looking to see whether or not the straws are in use. We also partner with the health department for their inspectors because they go out and do food safety inspections. If they see a food establishment place utilizing plastic straws, they will coordinate with our inspectors to transmit that information over. I
So
will
they actually look for it.
Yes. Now, I will say the department is also taking a position and a stance where, especially during this fiscal year, because we did get we put in a substantial request for outreach and we call it education and outreach. So this fiscal year, we're going to be doing a lot of outreach with respect to not only the recycling laws, but the straw ban as well, the polystyrene. So we're really going to be relying on a lot of information going out. Our director, Crooms, it will be meeting. She's already met once, but they're going to be setting up a larger meeting with the Restaurant Association, with the president and some of their members there to go over the various source reduction and recycling laws in Prince George's County. And so that's basically what we are doing. Now, are we going out specifically to those places that might have straws? We haven't gotten there yet. We only have, we have 5 positions. We've had a very high turnover rate at any given time over the past, actually 2 years. We've only had 2 inspectors on board. We hire, they stay 6 months, they leave. So we've been sort of dealing with this high turnover rate. So again, when they're out at a business, they're taking a comprehensive approach and they're looking at everything opposed to just doing a single inspection.
So how many businesses have been checked?
We will have to get that stat back to you.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, and is there a number where residents who see straws that look like they are not permissible being given out, that they can
Yeah.
report it in? And
Yes.
how is that publicized?
Yes, and thank you. That's a very great point. So another thing that we do is anytime a citizen or customer in Prince George's County sees the use of, let's say, a plastic straw in this case, being utilized in a fast food restaurant or eatery, they can call PGC 311 to report it, and we will specifically handle those case by case when we do get a service request or phone call from a constituent.
So that might be something that could be very easy in the DOE Sprout or in whatever mailing. To, hang on a second, let me get rid of this stupid call.
Call from cell phone MD.
Okay, shut up.
Yeah, but I, you know, to be
To publicize to citizens,
yeah.
they should do that.
Yeah, and you know, again, to be very transparent, we are this year, we're going to be relying very heavily on the outreach materials that's going out. You know, Andrea working with the Restaurant Association and really putting the information in the hands of those establishments to make sure they are aware of know about the law, they're aware of you know, the various bans in Prince George's County. And so our hope is being very proactive in that respect and getting sort of like their buy-in, even though it is a mandate, that we will see a greater compliance rate within Prince George's County. Because again, we you know, we're up against with, you know, we have virtually 2 inspectors, even though we have 5 positions, you know, covering the entire Prince George's County. So it's been the last, really basically since the pandemic, it's been a troubled area within our operation with respect to inspection and enforcement, because we even had a time on our curbside collections with our residential program where we had to utilize our recycling inspectors to respond to citizens' complaints. So the enforcement piece, the inspection's not as robust as it was prior to the pandemic. And it's something we're fully aware of. And so our next plan, in addition to getting these positions hired and trying to retain people in those positions, we are going to be asking for some temporary help by way of hiring through a contractor. We've asked for 3 additional inspectors that will be temporary employees, because again, we've had trouble with retaining employees. So yeah, we're going to be really rolling out this plan that actually Andrea is working on herself with respect to the communications and again, meeting with the Restaurant Association.
Okay, and when the inspectors, however often they go out, they also cycling on site, which is required to be, and isn't an awful lot of.
Yeah, absolutely. They're inspecting the interior of the business and the exterior, because the second, when CB 87 was amended, it included, because CB 87 back in 2012 included interior recycling. The county went a step further a few years later. I don't remember the exact date or year, but exterior recycling is required as well. So at any business establishment where we see a trash receptacle placed out for public use, by county code and by county law or legislation, they are supposed to have a recycling receptacle paired with that trash receptacle, as well as signage.
So how about publicizing to citizens that they should report when that isn't seen? If you only have 2 inspectors, you have 100,000 inspectors. If you get the citizens to also look.
Yeah, so they can report again. We really have to think through that because we're going to do this education outreach campaign. If we were to get hit suddenly, let's say, you know, we did this and next week we received, you know, 100 or 1,000 phone calls. It's not like we would be able to get out to all of them. So while right now, if a call comes in, we are responding. If, you know, a large number of calls came in suddenly or service requests, we would be unable to fulfill them, I think, in a timely manner. But that is what this plan that Andrea is working on with respect to the information and meeting with the Restaurant Association. That's part of the plan, is to meet with them, speak with them, so that they do understand that it is a law, and if we, and then there'll be some process in place with respect to, it could be, if, let's say we do have an influx of reporting, it could be that our first touch point to that particular or to those establishments would be perhaps like a electronic communication or by phone from a staff member before we actually get an inspector out there. But we're going to be relying on that restaurant association and the president to be assisting the county, and that's what Andrea is going to be working on, and that will be soon. She's already had one conversation with them.
Marilyn, is the Restaurant Association composed of larger companies, nationwide companies, as well as the smaller organizations, or is it mostly smaller organizations that are mostly focused in the county, or who knows?
Well, the Restaurant Association, and I can speak for Prince George's County,
Right.
it includes both like fast food restaurants as well as, like more like formal dining restaurants.
Mhm.
I have not seen their let's say their list of all of their members, but I do know that it's a very robust association.
Okay.
But does it include all of the food establishments in the county?
I'm not sure if it includes 100%. That's another thing I'd have to get back to you.
Because if it doesn't, then it seems like you're having no way of notifying those other establishments.
No, but yes and no. We do know that the food association does cover quite a few, if not most. So it's a very large conglomerate of quite a few of these food establishments that we will be reaching through the president of their association.
But it's.
But that's not the only outreach and what we call education notification that's going to go out. It's going to go out to all establishments.
Has there been any outreach to the mobile operators, all the food trucks?
Not other than our initial outreach that we did that included every single permitted food establishment. So if it was a food truck, it was permitted. We did do that, but that was at least a couple of years ago.
I would suggest if you're reaching out to the Restaurant Association, you also reach out to the association for the mobile operators, because they have a large, as you know, carry out business, and a lot of times straws are involved.
Right. Okay. Yep. I just made note. Okay. I just made note. Thank you. Okay.
And if when the Restaurant Association, if they're reached out to, if they are informed that citizens are going to be at some future time asked to report violations, they might feel a little more like they should follow it. But if they know you only have 2 inspectors, so it's not for 100 years.
Oh, yeah. No, and we don't tell them we only have 2 inspectors. I'm just sharing that with this group. Yeah, so we do have 5 funded positions for recycling. But it's just, we have had a tremendous turnover rate since the pandemic hit.
Does anybody actually have any statistics on how big an issue this plastic straw is? Or are we spending an awful lot of time and energy for a small portion of the solid waste issue?
I pick up quite a few every day. I don't count them specifically, but I can say I pick them up every day.
I believe McDonald's still use plastic straw.
Mhm.
McDonald's still use it, because I was there yesterday and I was given a plastic straw.
So you think a non-compostable one or a compostable plastic?
I couldn't tell. It looked plastic to me.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so, I mean, maybe what we should do is that at least if we start saving them, and like Martha Ainsworth is very good at identifying these things to find out.
Okay.
Yeah, the Sierra Club, under, Martha's leadership of Prince George's County, they were a tremendous help with respect to when the county banned polystyrene.
Oh, we did tons of surveys.
Yes, yes,
I spent
And,
days doing surveys, and Martha spent forever. She did
yes.
yeoman's work. Yeah, so that's, I think, why the question was the straw ban, I think, is should Sierra Club get involved? Is the county going to get? Maybe this is something when Andrea comes next time. We
Yeah,
talk to
and
her.
certainly, because we're going to be developing some outreach materials, home cards and things like that.
But there's no way that the Solid Waste Advisory Commission can have any input into those outreach materials.
Well, I can certainly run that by Director Crooms.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, and I will say, once we do, and again, this fiscal year, and I say fiscal year because it literally, our fiscal year's, July 1 to June 30th. We, thanks to our director, we have approved an approved budget that is substantially higher than previous years by far. And so there's going to be a very, very robust, I keep calling, it is called education outreach, but education outreach, notification, a lot of work being performed and handled, covering, all things recycling, resource reduction, waste reduction, diverting, materials from the landfill. It'll cover, like, the plastic straw ban, any new proposed legislation in the counties considering, all of our recycling laws. And yeah, I'm pretty excited about it because I've been in the county for quite some time, and I have never seen this type of dollar amount, and it is public knowledge. It's in our it's on the web. I'm not sure if the county has posted the approved budget or not, but it has been approved.
But I mean, it's wonderful that they have the money for it, but unfortunately, we saw the rollout of the bulky trash and the rollout of the food wastes curbside, which, many of us feel were environmentally disasters, both of them. The former, the bulky trash basically never, or one time, I think, saying of repurposing, and the food wastes almost never mentioning methane or why one should be involved. So I don't think that the messaging was, I think it was actually pretty bad. So
Well, point taken.
if this group is making these new decisions of the messaging to the establishments,
Yeah, I
it
mean,
would be wonderful if you could let Sierra Club and SWAC.
Point
Super.
taken, your opinion and point taken. I will say, though, on the county side, with respect to the bulky rollout, it was highly successful. And we base that on collection complaints and other information we receive, how well things are getting picked up. How much feedback we get, positive versus negative, and so forth.
No, with the bulky, I mean, people love that they can put their stuff out. It's, I will argue, environmentally, or from Nancy Myers,
Yeah,
that the
and it's
one
true.
would hope that
Yeah.
there was a repurpose
Right.
message, which wasn't. It was just easy. It's easier to put your crap in the landfill, is what it was saying.
Yeah, understood. And So, and yes, the county did get that, donation part out as sort of like the second phase of the outreach, thanks to SWAC. We did get that out. The initial, outreach materials that went out, the county, I would just say from the communications team, the reasoning it wasn't included with the very initial pieces of information went out is they wanted to solely focus initially on the actual the changes that were being made to make sure people understood the change that would be made in collection, i.e. they wouldn't have to call for an appointment anymore. And you know what I'm gonna just call it rules were with respect to how many items could be placed out on their collection day, where to put the items, and what kind of items were acceptable. And then once they got that out, you know, obviously it became very evident. And again, thanks to SWAC, you know, that whole donation piece was missing. And so they did some additional outreach, and now that is included in all of the information with respect to, you know, the bulky trash.
I don't think it's included at all. We've gotten somewhere it isn't and somewhere it is.
It must have been old. So I know anything that's been new produced, including our website, includes the whole donation piece now.
Okay.
So,
Okay, well, good.
and so
But
speaking
at
of,
any rate, if
Yeah.
SWAC could be, if looking forward rather than trying to go back.
yeah, and
If
so
SWAC could
going,
be involved in messaging, that would be
Yep.
terrific. I
And
mean,
going
you
back-
have us here. You should use us.
exactly. And speaking of Sierra Club, so we totally welcome, like once we have these pieces of information and, you know, print it in hand, some of it, you know, I'm sure there'll be newspaper ads, electronic information going out, but we certainly welcome Sierra Club's help, you know, like they did with the polystyrene ban, because the group was just a tremendous help to the county. I know, like with the polystyrene, Martha had asked for like palm, we call them palm cards, just like a little postcard with the
Right.
information on it. And you know, volunteers went out and, you know, handed them out to establishments and really helped us get the information out. And they did surveys. They just generated this really highly, I think, very professional report with a lot of data in it. And I mean, their work is just phenomenal. So we do welcome and appreciate the help.
Yeah, so again, if Sierra and SWAC could be involved in, if you like that we're helping with handing out the information, if we could be involved in what information is being handed out, I think that would be really good.
Yeah, I'll talk to Andrea about that. Because I know, like for the composting, they created for organics, which now they're calling composting. So I guess based on the work done so far, which kind of doesn't make much sense to me, but the word organics was confusing to people. People were getting confused, let's say, with, they thought only organic food could be put out for food scrap collection, for instance. So they're calling it composting now. So I'm going to use the word composting. However, I still say organics occasionally. So I'm using it sort of interchangeably here. For the composting outreach, the county executive's office decided to set up this focus group. And I believe, Barbara, you were part of that. I don't know where it is
Well,
now,
I mean,
but
you know,
at least
there was one meeting and nothing else happened after it.
okay. Okay.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it
So
was.
I'll certainly, I'll certainly express and share with Andrea, you know, that the SWAC would like to, if possible, you know, look at the materials, you know, provide some input, etc. And I'll get, or Kevin or I will get back to you. I
Great.
certainly, anything you ask, I will ask. Mhm.
Great. Terrific. Okay. And let's see, we have like 2 seconds to, maybe we can just get highlights of the other things. Because some of this has been, unfortunately, it's not super efficient meeting.
I've got to run. We got to learn how to make these meetings more efficient than what they are because you're still stuck on item number 1.
Well, let's talk on item number 4 then. Let's go to item number 4. Because basically what we'll be discussing already covered item 1 through 3.
No, we haven't talked about 2 and 3 at all.
Yeah, well, but it's all about the same.
What do you mean they're all about the same?
We talk about food collection. We talk about curbside pickup. Because we talk about repurposing.
I can give an update if you want real quick about the buy-in of the food waste curbside pickup. So the county has, initially, we were going to have some selected service areas that would get the carts, and then we were going to have an opt-in countywide like we did last time. We will not be doing the opt-in. Instead, we will be getting 61,000 carts, and those carts will be, there's going to be, from what I'm told, extensive outreach done to the residents in those service areas who will be receiving compost carts and information. And so they will be receiving their cart and their materials without having to opt in. And then next fiscal year.
Oh, you mean that it's going to be given to every household?
Yeah, 61,000. And then,
because I thought the 61,000 they earlier said was going to be just for the people who opt in. So now
no,
you're
this next rollout coming up in the fall, we're not doing an opt-in now. We're going to select the service areas, and those service areas, those residents will be receiving a cart and their materials. They will not be opting in. And then next fiscal year, the remaining residents in the county who are, who receive our trash and, yard trim services, they'll get their carts next year. So it's the same way when we rolled out recycling carts back in 2008, 2009, 2010. We did it over 3 fiscal years, but everyone got a cart. Everyone got the information. Everyone was pretty much rolled into the collection program. And so the next 2 rollouts, which will complete the whole county, everyone in our program will have a compost cart and kitchen pail to do their food waste composting.
huh.
How's participation going for what's already out in the field?
It's been going well. It's been going well. We get very few complaints with respect to a missed collection.
You get a lot of complaints from our area.
Yeah, when we do get a complaint, I can say oftentimes, and I'm not sure I can speak specifically, Barbara, to your area. I think there was at least one address that unfortunately was missed. It seemed like on a regular basis, and I believe that's been rectified now. But I will say generally the complaints that we do receive will typically involve a situation where, and this might come to your number 3 item here, it's where the hauler, flipped the lid, saw plastic bags in there and didn't do the collection. So we still have a learning curve with the population to ensure people know that plastic bags cannot be used for organics collections, and that
But-
includes yard trim.
But how do we do the learning curve? That was the idea of the tagging, because if the haulers would put a tag, say, could not pick up because it was in plastic, that would be terrific. Say our
Right.
neighbor has for years put his recycling out, no, his yard wastes out in plastic bags. They're always picked up. I complained to him and he says, what do you mean? They wouldn't pick them up if they didn't like them.
Yeah, if offline you can give me that address, I will look into that because they are supposed to be tagging the bags and they're not supposed to be picking up.
So do the haulers have tags?
Absolutely, yes. The county provides those stickers or tags to all of the haulers. You know, whenever their stock is getting low, we restock them. And yes.
Today was trash pickup day in my neighborhood. I saw the first one of the stickers placed on a recycling bin that had plastic bags in it. So at least for our hauler, that one instance, they started to use them. And like I say, it's about the first time I've seen it yet.
Yeah.
So
Well,
they're
that's
starting.
good.
They're starting.
Yeah, that's thank you for sharing some good news because we do meet with the haulers, all of them on a monthly basis. And that is one of the sticking points I'll say that we keep reiterating is they must use the tags. We provide it. It costs them no money for those stickers. If they see the plastic, they need to tag it. Now I will share with you often, not often, but and this is something under the new contract when that goes into effect, should rectify. But we do have situations sometimes where we end up with the contractor saying that they did tag the plastic. The resident will call into PGC 311, make a complaint about a miscollection, and they should be asked by the call taker, you know, was it tagged? They'll say no. And then we have the contractor saying the resident removed the sticker. It was tagged. And in fact, sort of like just a few weeks ago, to sort of prove that point, we did have a hauler, that same scenario played out. The resident said it wasn't tagged. And the contractor did happen to take a picture that day. I guess they were having an ongoing problem in that particular area. And it did show the house address, you know, the house, the cart, the tag, and it was clearly tagged. So, you know, we're always sort of in this situation, and typically we do err on the side of the resident, opposed to the hauler. But under the new contract, we're hoping to rectify that because the hauler will be, or the contractor will be required to upload pictures into what we call the capsule or the service request system in Prince George's County. And that way, if a resident then calls or enters a service request, let's say for a miscollection, soon as they put in their address, there's going to already be a case open, and they'll be able to see right there for that particular address on that date, the picture was taken, they had the plastic in their cart, it was tagged, and therefore the hauler didn't pick it up. It's in a perfect world, and that's what we have built into the language in the new contract. So it's going to behoove the contractor to make sure that their crews are abiding by the contract, because if they don't, again, we're going to be erring on the side of the resident, and they're going to be hit with a fine. And those fines do and will add up very quickly.
So do they in practice? Because I remember Joe Gill was once telling me about how hefty those fines are. And I finally pinned him down and asked how many fines had been given out to the haulers. And he said 0.
Yeah, no, we had,
Are you giving them out now?
yeah, we've had some months where, well, without going into great detail, we did have, over this past year, one contractor was terminated by Prince George's County. Another contractor was put on notice, and he was given 30 days to basically comply with all provisions of the contract and not have any issues for, under that 30-day review, or his contract would have been terminated.
You mean that there are haulers who are worse than Bates?
There was, I don't want to say the name of the hauler. I mean, some of you might know who it is because you may have had that hauler in your service area. But yes, there was a hauler that was terminated last year.
Marilyn, I've worked the back of a trash truck for a summer, and I can tell you now, it's the driver that you really got to make an impression on, because the driver's the captain of the ship and basically controls what happens on the truck. There's no place that on the back end, and it's the back end guys that are going to be putting on the stickers. There's no place for them to put these stickers. They're going to have to come up with some means by which they can have a storage for the stickers on the back end of the truck, or else it isn't going to happen, because they don't have time to go up to the front of the truck and then back to the back of the truck to take care of it. It just won't work. There's not enough time for them to do all that back and forth. You're going to have a way to store the stickers on the back end of the truck. And right now, at least unless trucks have changed, there's no room for anything on the back end. You're lucky you got a place to stand when you're working the back end and not in the bin itself. So.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for sharing it with me. And, I'm going to run that information by, I don't know if you all have met Tim Richards. He's my deputy associate director, but he's an operations guy. He worked both in the private sector and public sector, with collections. So I will bring that point up to him. And, I thank you for sharing that with me.
Sure. You're welcome. It was a great job, by the way, at the time.
Yeah, good.
All you could eat.
Okay.
Oh, it's a tough job today with this heat. It's,
Believe me, I did it.
yeah, it's, quite extremely hard, with a heat wave like we're having this week, and it's only going to get hotter for the remainder of the week. So, yeah, we got to make sure everybody stays hydrated.
And fun fact, they broke their heat index records. One of the hottest summers they've had in a long time. Yeah. It's a bit of world news there.
Okay, so you really feel that like even Bates is doing tagging of problematic.
Yes.
I like this idea. I like that we're tagging the offenders, because finally they'll get the message. Like, this is good. What do the stickers look like?
Big round ones, they're about 4 to 6 inches in diameter, at least the one I saw today.
Okay.
Yeah, we can, Kevin can, email a copy of what it looks like.
Okay.
Great. So when we go through the neighborhood, we should be able to see the stickers on the outside.
So what they'll do, typically is, when they flip that lid and they see plastic, it'll go right on that bag.
Right.
So it'll be on the inside, you'd have to open the can to
Yeah,
see.
because they're opening the lids to what we call tip the trash into the hopper. And
Okay.
when they we use the word flip the lid, open the lid, flip the lid, open, and they see the plastic, that's when they tag it.
Okay, so we would not see it.
Not necessarily, no.
You don't want to put it on the outside of the tote. You'll end up with too many stickers and you won't know if they're current or not,
Yeah, it goes right on the plastic bag.
And that's what the one I saw today was.
Okay. Cool. That would be great.
Mhm. So I think that covers the first three items, the updates on CB 14. the single-use plastic. I don't know if I have seen where that has passed yet. I was looking at the legislation, obviously, I've read it.
It was postponed to September.
Okay, all right. Yeah, okay. That explains it, because I looked at everything on the legislative information system, and everything is there except the signature state, you know, where it was the adoption, I'll say. So
So they'll postpone it for September because someone hasn't, or there isn't a consensus about signatures, or just one person they need signatures for.
Political.
yeah, so the county council has to have, when they vote on a bill, they need a majority to pass it. So, and I don't have any knowledge as to why it was postponed to September.
Okay.
Let's go.
Well, terrific.
All right.
Let's see, how much are we wanting to stick to 7 o'clock? On the basis of where it's 7:13. I mean,
I
Yeah.
forgot that the meeting started at 6. I'm sorry. I was totally off guard. I thought it started, later, but I'm glad I'm here. That's the point. So.
okay, so I guess this might be a good time. We've, hit some parts of each of these. And I guess some we don't really have much information and are going to get information from you all back. And I think the idea that if the county is going to make a real effort on education for establishments, if Sierra Club and SWAC could be involved with making suggestions for the communications would be wonderful.
Yeah. I love that. I love that idea, Miss Barbara. In fact, we used to have a little, not a powwow, because that's not the correct socially political term. Even though it's a cool term, it's not correct in this instance. We should have a gathering of Sierra Clubians, ex-com members, you and I, and the other extending members, and us.
And Dave.
SWAC. Yeah, and this day too, right? He's here. Yeah, we just have to, meet in person. I cannot wait. It's been a minute, so it'd be really fun to get us all acquainted. And for those who are on SWAC who haven't met us in the larger Prince George's County XCOM, we'd love to visit with you. It'd be great. Let's get some things done. That's, connecting the dots. That's right.
Barbara, I have to go. I have another meeting.
Oh, there's a picture.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, this is a sample of the sticker that's being put by our haulers when recycling cart is contaminated. So this is a sample.
Large enough.
And it's
color.
bilingual as well.
That's right. Multilingual. That's right.
Okay.
And that's the one for the recycling cart.
It's interesting that the Spanish is in larger font than the English.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
So you're thinking that more problems with Spanish speaking people than English speaking people, that you use a larger font for that?
No, I can't say that. I don't know why our communications team used a larger font for Spanish.
Do we have it in multiple languages for the different types of ethnic groups within the county? That would be more representational. Just as a comment.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
Like the different ethnic groups within Prince George's County, because I know there's, of course.
There's no way the haulers can know that.
No. I know, just, well, Yeah, that's a good thing, but yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like if they had, okay. Like I was just thinking, like if they had like, never mind. Because you can't really tell somebody's ethnicity based on looking at them alone. So
Yeah, well, the county does have, so let's say someone spoke, they didn't speak English or Spanish. And, they saw this sticker and they had no idea what it said. The county does have, whereas anyone, of any, actually there's, gosh, I hate to throw out a number, but I believe it's like 12 or maybe 15 different languages are covered. So if they call the county has a service where there is someone available to be able to speak the language in which the customer is speaking.
How would the customer know where to call or what to do?
I'll write this down. This is good.
PG 311. 311 is the number.
I will remember that.
Okay. So what do you guys feel? Shall we call it here? As for the meeting? Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I guess Jonathan and Alexander already have left. So,
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And good night, everybody. Thanks so much, Ms. Barbara.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
thank you, Marilyn. And we hear you're going in for an operation tomorrow. So
I
good luck.
am. Yeah, I have surgery tomorrow.
Good
I
luck.
Go do my wash kit prep soon. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Good luck. Thank you very much.